Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have a new episode.
Yeah.
Why are you looking like that?
Because
Of your favorite podcast.
Right, man.
I know. Of your favorite podcast, the most underrated podcast on the internet, the Rico Nico podcast.
All right, okay, you made up there.
We're back at the Nico headquarters. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, bro. Doing all right. Yeah, that was a crazy game.
We just watched the Madrid and Barcelona game. Madrid lost 1-0. That was disappointing.
Yeah,
I was upset.
It was intense in that first.
Very intense.
But then it died down and they played defense.
Because they got tired.
They was definitely tired.
Like you can play like that for the whole game.
So many fouls though. So much holding. I was like, But yeah. What you got for us today,
crazy things.
What you got for us today?
I was have a group chat with some friends, with some good friends of mine. Shout out to them if they're watching, which I don't think they are.
Okay.
And we were talking about living living together before you get married.
Okay.
So my colleague was arguing that that's stupid.
Okay.
This is a girl. So she was saying like that's stupid. Like why would I give a man like my whole entire day before he actually gets like makes me his wife? Like that's dumb.
Oh, living. Okay. All right.
So and I'm like no, like to me a requirement for me to get married to somebody is actually living together. Like to me, you have to like you gotta know that person on the everyday basis, like what they're like when they're frustrated, what they're like when they're bored in their lives. Like you there's a sense that I feel like you can't really know those very, very deep, intimate things unless you go to bed together, you wake up next to each other every day. I think that's a very important thing. I don't know what your thoughts on those.
So living together before marriage to kind of map it out. I'm gonna say this. Because our society and the households have changed so much, there used to be a time, and it is still.
Well, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but it's cultural. All right, so there used to be certain society in aspects of society in the family to where families were a certain way. So you were part of a family that the culture inside of your household was a certain way. The father was the head of the household, the mother was at home with the children, and the children helped in the household, and that's the way it was. And you had strong family ethics. The family was the unit, right? And it was like that in every other household. Okay, so every household, for the most part, was essentially the same. A little bit of differences between what culture you came from, what country you came from.
But it's more or less the same idea.
But pretty much the same direction, right? So then when a man and a woman got together, 9 times out of 10, it was really two families that came together. And the families put the man and the woman together. They got to know each other independently, but the families were really merging, right? And the man and woman that got together, they had to just deal with it. The man, the boy that became a man, he knew his role already. He had learned from his father. He saw his mother. He saw what his household. The woman knew the same thing too. She saw her father. She saw her mother. It was whatever. They had to figure it out with each other. Once they moved in with each other, they left their parents' homes and went in with each other. The families helped them.
After getting married or before?
The courting, and then when they got married, they moved in together in one of their families' houses. But they were all ushered. These things were facilitated from their families, right? But we changed. Now every household's different culturally. The way things work, single parent households, the ethics, they're very different. And when you look at it now, a lot of mothers and fathers are not involved in their children's lives to make sure you vet that other family, you vet that individual. So now you kind of have to live with a person for a little bit because you don't know what kind of family they're coming out of.
Yeah, you don't really know.
You have no clue. If you knew that their household mirrored your household, like I would say this,
sometimes maybe you don't want that. There's no household you're gonna create to mirror your household. Maybe there's things you didn't like about it.
Yeah, but
you want to change.
You can improve on those things aesthetically in your household, but you're gonna have a core idea. But like I would say this, coming out of a Latin household, a Greek household, an Italian household, an African household, those are like the primaries. I would say then maybe Caucasian households. Then
no, but I'm asking you what you think is right or not.
Do I think it's right? I think in this day and age, living with someone and having a longer period of courtship is necessary. Because what happens is that family's not meeting you a lot of times. Your family's not meeting her family. They're not ushering you, they're not facilitating you. It's the days of her father paying for the wedding and the dowries and all
kind of dying down.
Those dying down, things are pretty much gone. And what happens is you're not marrying into a family. The family is an accessory. They can like you, they might dislike you, they might be the only thing good about her. She might be trash, her family might be awesome, vice versa. You don't really know what you're marrying. These days, you don't even know who you're getting. You're getting people who are in transition who might be decent on paper, but as you go through these transitions, we live in a time to where relationships are kind of they're optional, right? Before you women need to be married. You need to have that household, you need to have kids because you didn't have the resources without them, the farm and all of that. So you stayed together, good or bad, because of the benefits it came with, and you just dealt with the hardships. Now, you don't need to do that. You can be single, you can be married, you can have open relationships. There's so many options and so many variances that it's kind of like you got to know what a person really wants.
I also have a friend
Mhm.
who, so he's like deep into religion.
Oh, you know, just okay.
And like he actually takes it seriously. It's not like most people out there who you say you are, but you really ain't. Anyways,
Okay.
so he lives by the religion and going to church and the rules and this and that, right?
Scripture, okay.
So he's got a girl.
Okay.
They've been together for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Now, he's over 30.
Okay.
And I think she's about 28, I want to say.
So they're close in age.
But the thing is, she wants to move in together.
And he doesn't want to.
And he doesn't want to move in together.
Fair.
Because he says that's not the right thing, blah, blah, blah. But when I talk to him about it, it doesn't seem like religion is the biggest issue. It's just that I feel like it has to do with it. But he says that his biggest issue is that when you live with somebody, like he won't appreciate the moments together as much because he's gonna have them 24/7. That this is what he thinks. Because he's like, imagine you're in a long distance relationship. I know, I love to. Imagine you're in a long distance relationship, and then you see each other like once every 2 weeks for a whole day, versus somebody who lives in your town. You go visit her, she visits you, you go out 3 or 4 times a week. So move that concept over to living together. So definitely, they've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. Where she got her own crib by herself. Okay. And and he lives with his parents. and he's even told me, like, she gives me shit for not wanting to move in together. And I'm like,
you mean help him get his own place because he lives with his parents.
That's another thing too. So I'm like, hey, so I told him about my experience very briefly. I'm like, hey, I thought the same thing too. Like the magic or like whatever you think is gonna die down, but that really depends on the person and how much you care about each other. And
vice versa. The truth, the magic is gonna die down. You moving together, it's gonna die. Yes, it is.
And even during COVID, which was freaking quarantine, that was actually. Oh wait, no. We're not gonna get into it. We're not getting into that. So I told them, hey, I thought the exact same thing. And he made things 10 times better. So I just feel like it's not about that, which technically what he's saying can be right. Yes, I mean, I get it. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe deep down he's comfortable with what they are in a relationship and he doesn't actually see her as a wife. Maybe that's a thing to it, but he don't want to say it.
I got a question.
What?
For him, if he believes in, cohabitating and all that, is an issue with that. I don't care if he wants to use religion as his excuse to do so. Is he celibate? Are they celibate?
No.
Oh, so they're getting down.
That's what I don't understand. So I feel like he doesn't see her as a wife.
First of all, if he's going to use the doctrine as his reason for not living together, then he's a hypocrite. First off, if he needs to be honest with himself, He doesn't want to change he don't want to change his environment. He's cool with what he's doing. He likes her where she's at. He's like,
It's cool where they're at.
He like, cool. That's what it is. Now, if she wants more and she's not gonna get what she needs out of the deal, and they're not transitioning, they're not moving forward, and that's something she gotta address.
Exactly. That was my next point. So yeah. I mean, there's different sides it is, but I mean, like you said, I think 100% we gotta live together. Like period for at the very least 2 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully you move houses together too.
Yeah, see
everything change your environment. Somebody's got to change their jobs. Like you got to be tested through many different ways to see how you feel.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna tell you personally, learning that I've lived with two. I lived with two women. Two. The first time was a definite eye opener. I wasn't surprised by it, and it went pretty good. But communication is key. And the girlfriend at that time, great communicator, just some issues with her responsibility on certain things, but great communicator. And then when we got to the point where we couldn't do it, it was done. Our relationship got to the end of the road. It was just really time consuming and really problematic, splitting up everything. And that was just a relationship. I can imagine a freaking divorce. Oh my God. But I
was told once that you know who you get into a relationship with, you never know who you get divorced from.
Yeah, it can happen that way.
That's another person.
I look at like living, like if you live with a woman, that person literally has to become like a family member. Like especially if you become your wife. Oh yeah, that's like a family. But a lot of people are never looking at their significant other like that person will become that close to a healthy family member. To where like, oh man, I gotta rock with my brother, I gotta rock with my sister, my mom, my dad, whatever, a close-knit circle, my best friends. A lot of people in relationships don't become really good friends. Now, I've seen a good number of individuals, my sister is one of them, that her and my brother-in-law, they're meshed and they don't function very well without each other. So they were good on their own when they were single for the most part, but they are better together. They got a great sync. They mellow each other out. They motivate each other. They make each other stronger, and they address each other's weaknesses. So it's like a great marriage, great matrimony. Frustrations and everything, and they don't do well from away from each other for too long. They can be independent. They can be solo, but they bring each other peace. So I was like, damn. But that situation is not accurate for a lot of people. Maybe because
it's not most people.
No, but you know what? It takes a certain level of sacrifice and compromise. You have to decide that initially before you get into it with someone, and that person's gotta be willing to do the same thing as well. Think of it like this. Forget just romantic relationships, but think about what makes a friendship a good friendship, right? Bit of compromise, right? We gotta be willing. I gotta be willing to sit down here and have these conversations with you, change my schedule, be cool, talk and whatnot. Or you could just let your friendship frizzle. A lot of people don't, unfortunately, they see the value in their efforts, but they don't see the value in why they should do it for you, or they don't see the value in what you would bring to the table in that regard.
What's a time frame that you see like that would be right for somebody? Like say you meet somebody and then you start talking.
And you want to live with them?
Yeah. So should that be, what do you think, a year? Do you think 6 months?
I feel like if you go from
like less, more,
I would say a year. I would like to go from a summer to a summer. Boy, it's funny how that trend got started. But like, if you meet him in the summer, right? You get through the winter, in the spring, you've seen that person, especially like summertime when things are moving, fall when things start slowing down, winter times like Christmases and stuff. See how because that's when family comes around. See how they move.
Do you think what if you get really comfortable with each other and you trust each other like really quick and like you bond and all that? Like, do you need that 1 year, or can you be like, I mean, I guess 8 months?
I would say it depends on the person, but I know me, and I need time. I need time, and I need dynamics. I need seasons to show me what a person is, and I need them to see who I am. I need them to see me in these different facets as well. Yeah. I'm not like I've been the kind of person to just put things on people. It doesn't go really well. It's better than not, but it just you got time allows us to kind of see each other and really see if we really want to be invested. and it's important. Now, as I guess it's relative as you get older, you become more experienced. You might be able to get down to brass tacks quicker. You might be able to acknowledge, no, that's not good, or that's great, that's awesome. You might be able to chop those things up faster.
Oh yeah.
But then there's a whole bunch of variables that you've never seen from this person that you know how to take in consideration. It's only time. So moving in, if people are on the same program and you naturally have great chemistry, compromise, and communication, and you be like, and it does to the point for some people it's just shocking, like, oh shoot, me and old girl,
yeah,
like you like whatever, but it's valid though, not just a feeling, it's valid. So like when you got someone who, and it's compassion too, when you got someone that is not afraid to communicate with you, so they felt one way, like, man, I was not going to tell you this because I didn't want this reaction, but because of you and because I'm telling you that. Oh snap! Okay, thank you. And you respond in a way to reaffirm their confidence in you and against the fear. Then it'd be like, okay, you build rapport. Same thing, like that's communication. Same thing with compromise. Hey, I know this, that, and the third. I'm willing to give this up. I'm willing to give it up too. And it be honest. Okay, we can do this. We're both changing our direction and going in this direction together. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. You sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. And you both know that's honest. Like, oh, we're both doing this legitimately. And if it don't work out, there's no regrets.
And also you gotta think that like when you sign something with somebody, you're like on that contract for however lasts. Usually it's a year, and then if it doesn't work, then I guess somebody's gotta say and pay the whole thing on their own.
Yeah.
Or find somebody who can sublease it to you. And that makes me very scared. That makes me scared.
Because think about it. Those are aesthetics of our lives. Our credit, debt, things of that nature. When you trust someone, when you trust someone to be responsible for your total package, you just like you expect them to be just responsible with their situation and your situation. So you would hopefully you meet someone who's responsible enough to pay their bills and take care of their obligations and take care of their health and be mindful and stuff like that. And when you first meet somebody in a relationship, a lot of people present very well, but then you intertwine with them, and because sometimes you're there, they feel like they can pull back their responsibilities because now you got Nico to lean on. It happens. It happens all the time.
It happens.
Bro, you have a roommate and all of a sudden they're washing all their own dishes, paying all their own bills and all that. They get a roommate, could be their brother. All of a sudden your brother's there now, dishes get washed a little less frequently.
Oh, and that's even worse when it's a family member.
And then what happens is you start seeing that person slack. But when there's no one there in that gap, they can't slack. So you got those type of relationship dynamics.
And also I remember with the same relationship, we started dating, what was I think April, like a couple of weeks before my birthday.
Okay.
And then July came, and I didn't plan it, obviously. It was like a huge coincidence. I was looking for a new apartment. This was, I think, 2 years after you left that apartment complex, but I stayed on another building. Yeah. So I was gonna look for another apartment. So about June, because the thing ended in July. And she wanted to move out of her family's house. So I was like, we've only been together like what, 3 months? But I feel like we're really clicking. Like I really trust you. You trust me. Like, I mean, I know it's weird. I know it's really soon. I know it's early. Like, I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, this is just like a weird little coincidence. Like, do you want to do it? She said no. So she got her own place. And we did that for like a year. And then, so she got a place around the same time I got my place. Like, it was like a 2-day difference, like for the lease to expire. So the next year, she was like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, no, I'm good. So, I mean, also timing, I feel works.
And did your relationship with her change to where it just didn't make sense for you?
What I mean, like related to like regarding living together or not?
From the time that you said, hey, would you like to live together? And she said no. To the time we came back around, she proposed that same thing to you. had your relationship, on your end, had your perception of the relationship with her changed?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, so yeah.
Or else I would have been like, yeah, let's do it. Like I'm still down.
Yeah, see, there we go.
Not, I didn't say no because I didn't want to move in with her because I didn't like the idea. No, I really wanted to, but I just felt like that would make her act a certain way towards the relationship, and that would make things start to kind of go down again.
Why?
If that makes sense.
I'm trying to make sense of it right now.
So
why would it go down?
So basically, I had the idea. I don't believe it now. It was dumb. But I had the idea that if I did it, then she was gonna be like, "Oh, I got him now." So let me just like start slacking. Basically, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's literally it. I'm sorry.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
Now that concept is a big fear for a lot of people, man or woman, that when you do part up with someone and you share a home together, the responsibilities get divvied up in an unfair way. So, and I'm victim and guilty of this as well, to where I clean less and I am not as focused and I'm doing other things where I would be doing these things.
But also you can be with somebody who gets out another side of you, the more responsible side or the lazier side. It also depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person. Look, this is what I've learned is this, and this can't apply to everybody. What I learned is this: as you go through a relationship and you live together, and things go astray, if any person stops doing their stops upholding their responsibilities in the house because of how they feel about the relationship, it will doom the relationship.
Oh yeah.
It needs to be addressed, and you have to find a way to do it. So for me, I was not being as active as I was supposed to be. I was not as focused in the household as I was supposed to be.
And it's great that you know it, you admitted it. That means you can improve.
It was brought to my attention, and once I will acknowledge it was true. So I had to address those things and do things about those things. The issue I had was when I did the same, I was met with, and I ended up doing I ended up having the same situation myself. I was met with not an excuse, but I was met with an equitable reason why that couldn't be done. So for me, I got to a point in my household to where I couldn't step up and do more because I had a more pressing responsibility elsewhere to keep this household together. I had pressing responsibilities to maintain our shelter that would keep me from being able to do as much as I would want to do in the house, because I'd have to be now outside the house two times as much instead of being an household to keep this household together. Whereas the same expectations came in, I was like, well, I'm expecting things to be maintained in the household doubly because I'm not here. Well, that causes stress to people. And a lot of times when you're not communicating and you're not being honest, accountability is to have accountability, to hold each other accountable, it has to be honesty. You have to be honest about what's being done and what's not being done. What happens when you start losing transparency? Things don't get done, and those things don't care. When bills don't get paid, when communication not being made, when things get lost, when things get taken away, then what happens is you got to deal with the consequences of those things. And then at this point, it's just like, well, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you express that to me? It doesn't matter what the reason is. It doesn't matter what the excuse is not talking. Now you have to deal with the consequences of whatever happened. And now it hurts your relationship even worse. And think about it, when you live together, you shoulder that together. So a lot of people in this day and age they're quicker to quit.
Exactly. Let us know down in the comments down below the address of the last household you live with somebody. Hit the like button, share it with all your friends, tell them if they're not watching the Rico Nico podcast, they're missing out. Thank you for watching all the way to the end.
Don't sign that lease.
Don't sign that lease. At least make sure you're doing things right. Be like me. Be like, no, you had your chance, baby. Have a good one. No, just kidding. I didn't mean it like that. They sounded funny. It was a little punchline. Little punchline never killed nobody.
Okay. Punch in line, all right.